What's happening, everybody? You got the still photo of Sean hanging on the screen there. That's awesome. Straza, hope you're doing well. I'll see if I can fix my camera here. Maybe this is something I could do. I've never done this live.
Very stoic. Look at that stare. That is the
Yeah,
stare of a man who's just
that's a
so
guy who's you know, doing
wow.
something.
Wow.
Yeah. Start video. Here we go. There we go. Look at that. Here we are. Sorry for the technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Flow Show. It's been a technical difficulties kind of couple weeks, right? Market's getting crazy. We had a big VIX flush last week. I mean, Strauss, when you and I did this show last week, it was a very, very different market environment than it is today. I mean, what a change 7 days makes, huh?
You're talking about this VIX chart. I could pull one up as well here. Is this what you are alluding to?
I am alluding to that definitely. Yes. I mean, 6 weeks ago or 6 days ago, 7 days ago, depending on who you listen to, it sounded like the world was ending. Today, it's a wildly different feel out there.
So this was Monday's VIX candle. That was a historic move in the volatility index. We are getting some, I think, really intelligent kind of commentary about, well, VIX futures never traded where the VIX index did. I think that's a good point. It's a fair point, right? But regardless, even in the futures, it was a wild volatility spike. Volatility has crushed in the, I guess, 5 sessions since, right? Down again here today. I think what this means, Sean, we came on here last week. I'm very proud of us. We did nothing. We sat around. And then
Very proud of us. Tap on the shoulder.
it was the right thing to do. What a weak shit bounce we've seen in the number of days since we last talked. And I think we're set up perfectly for a little bounce fade here. I think we could find something here today that has, big level of interest that is being now tested from below, and we can fade something. I think that paying for puts today is a far better idea than paying for puts a week ago. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree. I mean, VIX now is back with a 19 handle, which still that's high in historically, but well off the highs that we saw last week. I mean, even if you take out that crazy spike to 65 that didn't last very long, by the way, if you forget all that, then VIX was all over the 30s most of last week, right? The high 20s, low 30s most of the week. That was kind of maybe where the real value of VIX should have been. But now we're at 19, well off those highs. If you think that the bounce has kind of played itself out and we're about to at least perhaps test the lows, maybe even break them. If you want to be an aggressive options player, yeah, maybe buying puts here at cheaper premiums might be the better move. What do you got for me? You got any charts that are setting up for a put play?
Yeah, I do. And I also think that the context of what you and I own in our portfolios is important for this. I believe you are like me and have a lot of long exposure and maybe not too much short exposure. So this is not a
You're
call.
correct. You are correct.
So we're not making a call that the market has peaked and that we're definitely rolling over and that the bull market's over. We're simply making a call that based on this new environment that we find ourselves in, maybe we want a little bit more short exposure than we have. That's really what this is for me, right? I'm not long any puts right now. I reduced my long exposure. Now I can add a little bit of short exposure. I think this is a good time for it after a 5 day rally that really didn't achieve much. Let's talk about the indexes. I'm going to start with the Qs. So Qs, we got this big top here, a big bounce, ripped higher off of Monday's nasty candle, right? And now slightly back above the shelf of highs from February and March. That one I would want below 448, right? XLK now, on the other hand, still below this shelf of highs. If you drop a VWAP from the high, we're nowhere near it, right? So the sellers are in control. I think you could fade something like XLK against 212. I think another candidate, Sean, is looking to some of these laggard indexes or even lagging names within them. Look at ARK. I mean, this was bad before the selling began, and it's just worse now. ARK hit its lowest level since November of last year, last week, and now it's hanging around here. hanging around down here below a shelf of former lows. I think we could fade this right here against 42. And I got some individual names too that I could show you.
Well, of the three indexes you just showed me right now, ARC is definitely the one that has my attention
Arc
because of the fact that we really couldn't get back above that support level from the spring. That to me feels like the better setup.
This is such an ugly chart. I think this is my favorite fade candidate also.
Yeah.
Like anywhere you drop a VWAP on this thing, we're back below it now. Sellers just dominating ARC. I think a
Well,
fade.
before we step away from ARC and talk about some individual names, let's talk about a potential trade here with options. I'm looking at December options right now, and there's pretty good premiums in the out of the money puts, which we could leverage to our advantage. I think in December, if we bought a 40 put and sold the 30 puts against it, so that's the bear put spread.
Yep.
We could get into that spread for 255 approximately right now.
That's not bad.
That gives us, more than $8 of potential upside. And we leverage some of those, still juicy premiums out of the money to help lower our cost of participation. I think we'll talk about some of the individual names you have on there, but let's bookmark this one. I like this trade, buying the December 40-30 bull calls or bear put spread, excuse me.
Bear put spread. A mouthful. All right. I like that one. I'm on board. I got three names that I can give you. As
Okay, well. Let's see them.
Let's start with the AMD. Sometimes, Sean, when you try to trade something on the long side enough times and it never works and it just keeps not working, that's the market telling you you're probably on the wrong side altogether. So
I was just going to say, haven't we been talking about buying this name recently, like looking for spots, and we just haven't found the trade that we like?
It's been a piece of crap for, 2 quarters now, really. This thing peaked and rolled over back in March. We're in like 45, 50% drawdown. That's not really bull market stuff, 50% drawdowns. So AMD is on that list. Now, look, we could draw this one up really clean right here. Give it 2 levels. Got a level here that we can lean into. And then this, to me, is really the level, right? You got the top there. Nowhere's near the VWAP from the pivot highs. I think AMD puts. I would rather, here's the thing. I wish AMD bounced better. This is such a piece of garbage right now. We couldn't even get a bounce back towards the VWAP, right? Like ideally, AMD got some sweet dead cat bounce back up to 146 or anywhere around this pivot low, even like 144, and then we fade it there. Couldn't even get there. If you're bearish on something, the fact that there's been absolutely no relative strength only makes it, I think, a better vehicle or a better option to short. So AMD #1 on our list. ASML, this is the Dutch Master. I'm long this. I'm long the common stock.
I love it when you guys call it the Dutch Master.
Dutch Master. I'm long in the IRA.
Oh, look at that! We got the call from the desk.
I lowered the volume on my mic because I think I was screaming on the analyst meeting I had before we came in here. So, look, prior cycle highs, call it 880. Also, not just the prior cycle highs, right? But this is kind of like a double whammy. We call this like a confluence of interest, right? We also have the pivot lows here and this little tactical top, right? Which I'll just draw out quickly. Boom. And that should be read because it looks to me that this is actually a top, not a failed top. So I think something like the Dutch Master, we could buy puts in. Here's the problem with that one. It is a high price stock. So you are going to pay through the nose to get short this one. Shopify would be next. Now, this is one that really did bounce nicely. I love this candle right here today. Look at this, Sean. I can zoom all the way out. We got a shelf of interest at the highs from late last year, where we've come up and tagged 1, 2, 3 times now since June. Look at the way today's candle is shaping up too. I mean, this one looks ready to go. See ya. From 48 to 68 in a week. So this is like the opposite of AMD, a really, really considerable, significant bounce that we'd be fading into a logical level. And then basically just making the bet that we start to move back down towards the lower bounds of this range. So those are the 3 individual stocks. What do you like?
All good candidates. Of the 3 that you just mentioned, I like the AMD setup the best.
Yep.
That feels cleaner to me. Yeah, I just that's interesting about Shopify, but that I don't know, that's chart's a little sloppy for my taste. I don't like that chart personally. Doesn't mean it can't work. If that thing works, it's going to work great.
Big
Um,
bounce, earnings momentum with Shopify. So that one there, I think there's a bigger risk of us being wrong and it
yeah,
moving against us. Look at the relative trend. This is AMD versus the broader market, right? So just this is where the stock peaked out on absolute terms. It's been a laggard ever since. Now, if we look at Shopify versus the S&P 500, this is what we're talking about. Look at that. So the relative strength from this name has been off the charts over the last week. We want to fade the laggard instead of a relative leader, and that is what AMD is. So I'm all for it.
yeah, I like the AMD trade. In fact, I even like it better than the ARC trade. Um, so here's what I'm thinking with AMD. Once again, I'm going to look into December options.
Mhm.
And I want to play it with a put spread similar to XLK. I like buying the 130 puts and selling the 110. There's still really good juice there at the 110 puts. We could get into that $20 wide vertical spread for about 670. I like that. I feel like that gives us good odds of success. Um, our risk is defined. The most we could lose is what we pay today. And in this case, if I bought it right now, I could probably get it for 665.
Yeah.
I like that. And I feel like, we have a logical level to stop here. I mean, I don't know where your line corresponds, but I'm thinking to me right around, if I want to be conservative, I would say 153. But if I want to be more aggressive, I think a stop at like 143. Well, that might be a little too tight.
145. How about 145?
Uh, yeah. I mean, I feel like we're just kind of eyeballing that, but
No, that's gonna no. So if you look at my screen, the 145 is gonna line up nicely with the VWAP from the pivot highs. So
okay.
really nice level
All right.
right here. All
So
right,
I
so
think
this
I like
is
that. I
coming
mean,
down. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the options premiums are off their highs in AMD like they are in most things right now, but they're still pretty elevated. So, um, it'd be great if we could just buy puts on this thing and we could win just buying puts. That's totally very high potential there if the thing sells off. But if this trade takes a little bit while to get going, I think the spread will help us lose less while we wait, because if this thing takes its time,
Yeah.
the premiums are going to continue to come in, and that's going to be felt more on the further out of the money options, which in this case would be the short option that we're short at the 110. So that'll help cushion the blow of any losses. So I like it with a put spread. If you're more aggressive, if you want to, if you're feeling it, buying puts here, not terrible, but you really got to hope that you get your timing a lot quicker. You got to be, more precise with your timing. But for me, for my money, Straza, I like the put spread. I like buying the 130 puts, selling the 110 puts in December. Get it for about 665 right now. Yeah, I like that trade. And I like that trade, as you mentioned at the top. I like it as a balance on my portfolio. I've got a lot of long exposure still. I only have one delta neutral trade on. I put two on into the abyss last week, which was great. One of them already covered. We already got out at our profit target, which was nice. Still have one left on, but that's really the only, portfolio diversification I've got on against all the rest of my longs. So putting a straight, short bet on here, I like it. And AMD is a good vehicle to do it.
Yeah, and doing it with the spread, like I think there's a risk that we could chop around a little more here. Maybe you do get some sort of rebound rally back to VWAP, right? We'll be good if we're not stopping ourselves out until like 145. Then maybe we get the rollover. So this could take a little time and be a little bit messy. But I think this is on breakdown alert, and I think this is as good of a candidate as any for we're put hunting, right? We're put hunting today. The boys are
Yeah.
put.
We're on breakdown alert. I like it. Breakdown alert.
Yep. Breakdown alert.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, look at that. We came up with a trade. Not too much drama this time. There was a lot of drama last week. This time, we're finding opportunities. We're balancing our portfolio a little bit. That's good risk management. That's trading. That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Straza, great job today. Great job last week. Keeping it real, keeping it cool. Nobody panicked over here. We all took some losses like everybody else, but hey, man, we're keeping it cool, and I think that paid off for us. So I hope you're doing the same, everybody. He's Steve Straza. I'm Sean McLaughlin. This has been the Flow Show. We'll see you on the morning show tomorrow. Take care.
Thanks for watching, everybody.